Hello, 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 hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, all you beautiful people. My name is Anastasia Macdonald, and welcome to the Real Daddy God Show, where over here we're learning to be fathered by God through everyday living. We're learning what it is to be a child of God. We're learning what it is to have Him father us. In his love letter, 2 Corinthians 6:18, he says to us that I will be a true father to you, and you will be my beloved sons and daughters. Right? What an exciting thing to have from the Father above. This afternoon, we have a special edition with a very special guest. And can't wait for us to get into it. We are so excited. But before we start, we're going to ask you to please do the sharing. Hello, good afternoon there. Please do the inviting, please do the tagging, because do you know why? If you know anybody who is divorced, who is a single mother, who is trying to get back into paid employment, who is trying to get their self-confidence back, and much, much more, please, please share. Hello, good afternoon, Joyce, Queen Joyce. Look how you're there. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us live this afternoon. We are so excited. We are going to have an amazing afternoon with Daddy G. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, let me just play some music over here. So we're gonna have an amazing afternoon. This afternoon the topic is In the Classroom with Daddy God, Part 2. If you see me waving my hand over here, I don't know, there's something wrong with my mobile phone. It keeps on dimming, so I have to wave my hand for it to brighten. I don't want you guys to be in the dark. So welcome, 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 all you people. This afternoon, we're going to go back to the classroom with Daddy God, with this amazing woman sitting on my left-hand side. She's going to be sharing her story, the lessons that she's been learning through the different transitions that she's been going through. She's been in private tuition with Daddy G. She's been in private tuition with Daddy G, getting all the lessons. Now, for most of the time, we don't know when Daddy God is taking us through the lessons of life. You know, the Bible tells us in Psalm 32 verse 8, he said, I will instruct you and I will lead you in the way that you should go, and I will guide you with my loving eye. So his eye is upon us. He's always instructing us and he's always leading us. I've got to continue doing this as the camera keeps on dimming. So please bear with me until I get this sorted. So Psalm 32 verse 8 tells us that he will instruct us and he will teach us in the way that we need to go, and he will guide us with his loving eye. And this is what has been happening with this lovely lady here. Not only is she a special guest, she is an amazing friend of mine who I met on the DSA platform last 2 years, 2016. Yes, on the DSA platform. Good afternoon, King Charles. Hi. So I met this beautiful lady, yes, on DSA platform. Whilst I used to do the notes there. Those were the days when I used to do the notes. She's a mother of 2 children, 2 amazing children. And I didn't know that I was making a difference in her life. So that's how we met. So can I just 1 second, please share now. Share now if you know somebody who's divorced, like I said, single mother who is trying to get back into employment, who is dealing issues with self-confidence and just being able to get out because of a divorce. Please share right now, because you know we're always one person away from a breakthrough. I have been in a place where I met Dr. Sunday Adelaja, and my life has never been the same again. Here I am doing the Real Daddy God talk show as a result of meeting Dr. Sunday Adelaja. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get in. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Thank you.
Look at this is Queen Pattie. This is Queen Pattie here, our guest speaker. You know, and so yes, please greet them and say hello. So we're still going to keep on waving on this our hands on the camera so that it doesn't dim. So please bear with us.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me. Today is Saturday and it's In the Classroom with Daddy God Part 2. It's an amazing time. I'm excited.
Yes.
I couldn't sleep last night because I was so excited to come. I was so excited, even though I'm sharing my story and what I've been learning in the classroom. Even I'm excited to learn from what I have learned.
Yes.
You know, it's like to do a double take. It's just amazing. And trust me, today you just need to invite your friends, your family. If you know anyone, please tag them so that they can see your tag, you know, or text them or ask them to come on, because it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot, 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 hot.
Yes. So last week I was having fun with her and saying that, oh my gosh, you've been having private tuition with Daddy God, and he's been taking you through some key lessons. So you've been through some transitions and transformation with Daddy God, and you want to share your story. So for those of you who were not with us last week, I please encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, The Real Daddy God Show with Anastasia Macdonald, to watch part 1, because you missed if you were not here last week. So go to my YouTube channel, The Real Daddy God Show with Anastasia Macdonald, to watch the part 1. So now let's get into it.
Let's get
into it. So last week I introduced and I gave a list, which is quite lengthy, of the key lessons that Daddy God has been taking her through. So I'm going to read them out to you again, and then I'll let you know where we're going to start with. So she's been through marriage. Queen P has been through marriage. Yep. She's been through divorce. She's now a single mother, still single motherhood. She has had to get back into paid employment, work. She's been learning how to regain her self-confidence. Then, which links into self-love, and something that I can't wait to hear her share with you is the VVIP movement. That's my favorite. She's gone back into the studio. She's a singer-songwriter. In case you didn't know, she's a singer and songwriter. She's got an amazing voice, and I'm going to get her to sing. She has to sing this afternoon. She cannot run away. No.
Oh, no.
And she's recently got into plus size modeling. Can you imagine? Plus size modeling. And then one of the amazing lessons that Daddy God has been taking her through is befriending the unlikely. So he's been busting some biases and some stereotypes and so on. So hello, good afternoon, San. Is it San? I beg your pardon if I don't mention your name properly, but good afternoon. Nice to have you on the Real Daddy God Show. So last week, we heard Queen P share her experience with marriage, divorce, and then single motherhood, right?
Yes.
So we're not going to go back on it, because we want her to, this part 2, she needs to finish. So we wanted to share. So let's get into, it was work, right?
It was work. Yes.
So please tell our viewers what was happening when the divorce had happened, and where were you at that time in terms of work, the work situation?
Thank you very much. So, oh, hello, happy
man.
Hello, Neville. I would like to carry on from there. Like you said, we recommend people to go back to part 1.
Yes.
So that they could recap.
Yes.
And then we can carry on. So we were moving on to work. So just bear with me if you see me looking down. I've got my notes with me here. So I need to look into my notes. All right. So we really have to put this down for you.
Good afternoon.
So work.
Yeah.
So going back, when I was in the marriage, I was not working because there were 2 small children, and I had to take care of these small children. So I was a stay-at-home mom. So I had the first child when I was 5 months pregnant. So we stayed in hospital, like I said, for 4 months. And then not long after that, carried the second one. So I had 2 small children at home. So it was difficult to get back into work.
So what was the age gap between these 2 children?
So the age gap between my children is 10 months.
10 months.
So literally, I had the first one, and then I was in hospital with her for 4 months, and then boom, 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 came the second one. So they're 10 months apart. So I literally had 2 children who are almost like twins. So because of that, it wasn't easy to get back straight into work. because it meant childcare, and that would mean double the costs. So the right thing to do was to wait for them to grow just a little bit. But I found myself in unfortunate circumstances where the marriage has ended. I need to support myself and the children, and I'm on my own. So I had to have a difficult conversation with Daddy God, and I said, Daddy God, I've left the marriage. It was toxic. It wasn't good for me or the children, and the right thing to do was to walk away. And then now we have to take care of the home. We have to pay the bills. I have to pay the rent. And as such, I was not entitled to any benefits because I was on a spouse visa. So on a spouse visa in the UK, you're not entitled to any recourse to public funds. So that means you cannot get housing benefit. You cannot get job seekers allowance,
and all the benefits that come
you can't
with
get anything at all. So that meant I needed to fund my life, my home, and everything around me. Why I'm giving such detail is because just in case there are people who find themselves in that position, to know that there is a way around it. So what I did, remember we mentioned the 20 days? In the first 20 days of leaving, I left on the 5th of July 2017. And for the next 20 days, I began to lock myself up and talk to Daddy God.
So you began to lock yourself up and talk to Daddy God. Is this what you recommend, suggest, advise for somebody who may be in your situation that has a relationship with Daddy God? What about the person that doesn't have a relationship with Daddy God? What do they do?
That's a good point. So what I could advise is, it's very important, if you've just come out of a trauma, it's important to just take time and internalize, reflect, look at your needs. What do you need? So you make a list. I made a list again. I'm a fan of lists. Made a list of the things I needed taken care of. So the rent, I moved into a property that cost £850, a 2-bedroom flat, and it was £850. So I needed £850, and to pay the deposit, so another £850. I needed to pay the bills, internet, to search for jobs. So I made the list, and then we need food, and then we need, I need to get a car. So I put budget for a car. So I made a list of all the things that I needed. And guess what? After the conversation with Daddy God, I received an answer. And the answer was, you can do it. You can do it.
So at this time you received, so you had a good, real, raw conversation with Daddy God. Very raw, very vulnerable. Didn't mince your words.
No.
As we learned from last week. So that you missed it last week. And you got your answer.
Yes, I got my answer.
So at this time, what was going on mentally, maybe physically and emotionally? What was going on?
So mentally, I was a wreck. Mentally, I was a wreck because I was numb. I was numb. I had been through so much pain and trials and testing through the marriage that when I came out, I was emotionless. So there were no tears. I was not crying at this point. Remember, I had the tantrums. I had talked to God. I'd really let it out and started the counseling. So I had no tears to cry. I knew it was the right thing to do. And forgive my language, but I say to myself, it's time to put on big girl panties. What that means to me is it's time to take the wheel or take the bull by its horns. No more crying, but it's now time to strategize and execute the plan.
Execute the plan. Strategize and execute the plan. Which was a list that you had.
Yes.
Made for yourself.
Yes. So the bills I need a car. I need to finance my life. I need to be able to be independent and self-sufficient.
So just to put things in context, at this time you had been a stay-at-home for how long?
I had been a stay-at-home for almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And now you're going to go back into work.
Go back into work. The children are small.
Okay.
At that point, I think the children were between the ages of 2, 1.5, and 2. So they were that age. One was like 1.5, and then the other one is over 2.
Right.
Yes. So small children, and again, as a mother, the worry of who am I going to leave them with, and I need to go into full-time employment that can pay. So out of that quiet time with Daddy God, I said, this is the plan. I've written down the things I need. I need a car. I need the bills paid. I need finances. I need a nanny. and I need a job. So after praying and asking God's blessing, I'm not a fan of believing God to do everything for me. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I believe that God does what only He can do, and then I do what I should do. So it's a partnership, it's a relationship. So we both have a role to play. So God blessed me by giving me the strength and the wisdom, and then I had to execute by doing practical steps to get that in place.
Well, let's welcome Dorothy and Rumbi. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Real Daddy God Show. We are in the classroom with Daddy God, learning how this amazing woman, Queen Pattie, was taken through from divorce to being self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. And so the first step was looking for a job.
Looking for a job.
Looking for a job. So I had been out of work for almost 3 years. Children are small and I had to look for work. Thankfully, I had a good educational background. My background is in computing and banking and business in terms of my academics. So I had studied, I lived in Asia for 3 years and I did my bachelor's degree in Asia. So thankfully, I had that to fall on.
You had a good thing to fall on.
I had good education to fall back on. So I dusted my box, took out my certificates, and started looking for jobs online. So when I started looking for jobs online, I would get some responses. Most of them initially were negative. We regret to inform you, you've been out of work for a while, so the experience is lacking. So it was no. Then I had to sit down and look, and I asked myself, okay, if I'm getting no's, then that tells me something needs adjusting.
I like that.
And no simply means it's an opportunity for you to adjust what you're doing. No is not denial. So I sat down and I said, Daddy G, I call him G. Hey, yo, G, what's popping? What's going on here? Because I'm applying and they keep saying no because I need a quick fix. I need to get a job straight away. So God said to me, review your CV. So I looked at my CV, went online, a simple step, and I just, Googled CVs in my background in computing and banking. And I had to just adjust the format, make sure I modernize it, I make it, up to date. And I sent it in. Guess what? The next time I sent it in, I was called for an interview. I was called for an interview, for a job offer, and guess what?
What?
I had no childcare. I had no nanny at the time. Remember, I have my list, so I'm going by priorities. The first priority was to get the job so I can finance getting a nanny. So you have to go by order. So
I love this practical.
Yes, go by order. So for those that just joined us, so structure your needs, structure your plan, and then put them in order of priorities. Go one by one. So number one was looking for a job. So after getting the interview, I thought, I don't have childcare. And we've just split up with my ex. So people are talking.
Yeah, right.
People are, there's so much happening in the background. People are taking sides. So I don't want to put my children in that position where they have to go to a place where things haven't settled in terms of people that we knew or had relationship with. So, unfortunately, this is part of divorce.
So so just to make them understand. So whilst this thing was, the divorce was in process, there was some backbiting, gossiping, in the background.
In the background, yes.
How were you dealing with that? Because it's one thing to have your relationship crumble, and then for back noise.
Yes. So it was there was back noise. I think I like that. I like that a lot. Back noise. So there was a lot happening in the background. And unfortunately, it got a bit, what can I say? It got a bit fragile. It got a bit twisted because I was a former pastor's wife.
Right.
People around us were mostly pastors, church leaders, and people in that circle. So some of them, not all, believed that I should go back
to your marriage.
Yes, I should go back. And they were resting at nothing.
Okay.
Which meant including threatening me.
Wow. Which
meant trying to force me to go back. Literally force me to go back by calling me up and saying things against me in the name of God. Right. For instance, you will fail. you will never do well, you will never succeed.
Wow.
So I had scriptures being quoted at me.
Wow.
For leaving. I'm sharing this to say,
yes, very
if
important.
you are going through a divorce, it can get very intense
and very nasty.
It can get nasty. There is a nasty side to it because we're human beings. And what I can say to you is you need to lean on Daddy God more than ever. Because only He can strengthen you. Only He can hold your hand and walk you through. So to answer your question, how was I coping?
Hello, Toyin. Hi.
Hi, Toyin. To answer your question, I became numb. I literally had to close up my emotions and close things out. And comes to point number 2, something Daddy God taught me. He said, Patience, right now you've written a budget of the things you need and finances. Can you do an emotional budget?
Any what?
Emotional budget.
Did you hear that? An emotional budget. I've never heard of that. Emotional budget.
Emotional budget.
Okay, tell us.
So I literally sat there thinking, okay, what is that? Is that a joke? And that's my favorite statement to say to him. Is that a joke? You know, and I just feel God has got a sense of humor. I think He just laughs, you know, when He looks at me all the time. Because I said, is that a joke? What is an emotional budget? All my life I knew about budgeting, but I didn't know that budgeting goes beyond finances. So what this meant, again, similar to the list I had made, I needed a car, I needed to pay my rent, my bills, I needed to take care of the children by getting a nanny, we needed food in the house, you know, I needed to also take care of myself, okay? Because being a single mom or divorcee does not mean you should deny yourself privileges. So I made a long list, a good list, and Daddy God said to me, do the same with your emotions. So what's important? And I said, you are. So that's fine, write it down. And I said, okay, G is important to me. That's God, Daddy G.
Right.
Okay. Secondly, my children. So I put them down. Thirdly, myself. My family. I've got an amazing mother and father and sister. So I put them down. And I said, my friends. And there was nothing else apart from that. That was it. And He said to me, so all your emotions should be budgeted alongside these things only. Nothing else.
Okay, tell us more, because I don't understand. What does that mean?
What this means is, for example, the question I had prior to this one was, how did you deal with the noise, the background noise? And if, for example, someone would give me a call, I'll give you practical examples that happened real time. I had a pastor call me on the phone and say to me that you will never succeed, you will fail. In fact, you failed before you started. Those were his words.
Those are very sad.
You will fail. And I said to Daddy God, so whatever comes my way, I take it straight to Daddy God. So I said, Daddy God, look at this phone call. Look at what they're saying to me, because I have left, because I've decided to walk away from a toxic relationship and take my children and take care of them. They're telling me I will fail, and they're quoting scriptures. What should I do? And He said, take your list. Is it priority number 1? And I said, priority number 1 is you, no. Is it priority number 2? The children? No. Is it priority number 3? Myself? No. Is it friends and family? No. So it's not on our budget.
Wow. I love that.
It's not
on our
budget.
I love that. I love that.
It's not on our budget.
What a special relationship. That is so practical. But okay, so I don't know whether they're going to be able to do this, but what about the one doesn't have that relationship with Daddy God? How do they do this emotional budget? What?
Yes.
Sorry guys, I'm going to have to keep on waving to this camera because it keeps dimming.
So to anyone who is not a Christian, or you belong to another religion, or you don't believe in God, this can relate to you as well. So you can make that list of your priorities. What's important in your life? So yourself, your family, taking care of your finances, your life, and anything that falls outside of that. For example, backbiting. People who talk about you behind your back. They're not on your list of priorities. So what you do is you pay no attention to that because it's not a priority. I'll give you another example. If you're traveling to London, say if you're traveling to London all the way from Manchester up north, and your focus and your goal is to drive on the motorway, and there are Facebook notifications coming through your phone. While you're driving on the motorway, that's not a priority. The Facebook notification is not a priority. And your phone is in your bag somewhere on the passenger seat. So your priority is the road and to focus on the road and not that. So taking the phone and getting on that notification will sway you from your focus. It will take your energy, it will drain you, it will divert you. So that's what I can say to anyone who's not religious or who's not a Christian is, you know, just focus your energies on your priorities. Focus your energy on what is important. Don't give emotions away, anger, frustration, responding to their text messages, or even answering their calls, because that will divert you from your focus.
So what I'm hearing here is that I'm guessing, or I'm asking that, so you even had to maybe delete his number, or just ignore any toxic text messages that were coming your way. You had to make a conscious decision to not respond, right?
Yes. So I made a conscious decision. That's right. Conscious decision. So what I had to do is get a filter. So literally get, you know, when you get a sieve and you are sieving flour and you're about to bake, for those that bake, literally it's where you put everyone in a basket and you shake them around
like that.
and let all the fine good products come out into your budget. So what I did, I was like, who on the list is helpful to me? Who on the list can I help? Who on the list is supportive of my children, of God, and of my life and well-being? So I wasn't looking at it in terms of divorce, about who will take my side. No, it's not about sides. It's about God. It's about your well-being and the children. So that was my focus. There were some people who were taking my side that I had to release. Because it's not about sides. You have to be objective. If you surround yourself with people that make you feel good, then you're heading for trouble. But what you need to do, some of them who were not on my side, who disagreed with me, I kept. So you have to sieve and decide, is this worth investing in terms of my emotions? So I went through those. For example, that example I gave, the pastor who called me to threaten me over the phone. All I did was respond with a final text message. And I said, man of God, you are a man of God. I disagree with you. And I will not allow you to threaten me.
Oh, I like that.
I was very bold.
I
will not allow you to threaten me. And if you do and carry on, I will involve the police.
Did you hear that? Say that again for the religious people. Say that again.
So I had to speak to the man of God. Again, these are our African churches. So for someone who may not understand, who may not be religious, because I had left the marriage and it was toxic, I had different people calling me up. And a particular man of God called me to say, you will fail in life. You will never succeed. Why are you doing this? You must go back. And he was threatening and intimidating me. So I had to say to him, you are a man of God, but I will not accept you threatening me and intimidating me. And if you do carry on, I will have to call the police, because that's harassment. So I was bold. Daddy God gave me the boldness. And it doesn't matter if someone is in a position of power, of authority, it does not give them the right to abuse, to intimidate, to try and threaten you. So you really have to be strong and be bold and stand your ground. Be respectful and do it preferably by text message. That way you leave a record of what you've said. And then I went on to close that chapter and never speak to him again.
All right, so I just like to chip in here and go back to the issue of divorce. We talked about it last week, but I think it's so important to bring it up again, that because we hear the pastor threatening a child of God in the name of divorce. I feel very passionate about this topic, in the sense that when it comes to divorce, it seems that Christians think that it is the unpardonable sin. It is the greatest sin that a Christian can ever do. And so all of a sudden, all the judgments come out against somebody who is divorced.
Yeah.
And that is a very wrong way to look at divorce. It's very wrong. You and I need to understand the heart. Like I said last week, you need to understand the heart of Daddy God behind divorce, and with like other issues as well, not just divorce, but you need to understand God. Daddy God is the one who instituted marriage. So if you get, like you and I, we're all on a journey, and we're learning more and more about Daddy God. But the more we walk close with Daddy God, the more we get to understand his heart. So what is his heart regarding divorce? With Daddy God, anything that he puts together, he absolutely loves it. He loves unity. Even the word love, the core of love is all about being one. It's being one. You know, the scripture says that I and the Father are one. In John 17, Jesus prayed that they may be one, that you and I may be one. So he's very passionate about this oneness. However, life happens, and we live in a fallen world, and divorce does happen. And his heart behind, Daddy God's heart behind divorce is that it rips, it tears two people apart.
That's right.
It tears two people apart. And because he doesn't want that for us, hence the saying that he hates divorce, because he knows what it does to the two people, the damage, the ripping. There's a ripping emotionally, a ripping psychologically, a ripping sometimes physically. There's a ripping in every sense of the word. And because he doesn't want that for us, in the same way that he talks about other commands that says don't do this, don't that, because he knows at the end of the day it's going to do what?
Rip.
It's going to rip us. So please don't be quick to judge people who are going through divorce, or Christians especially who are going through this thing. And please don't be quick to quote scripture and be harsh and be judgmental, but have the Father's heart. I think I wanted to mention this because it's very, very important.
Yes. And I think it's very comforting as well for people to hear, because they get to see God in another light, that he's a loving Father. So imagine a father whose daughter or son goes through a divorce. His heart breaks too.
Yes.
So that's another part to it. Our Father's heart breaks when we divorce.
Yes.
So we have to acknowledge that. And the beauty in that is then God knows how you feel.
Yes.
God knows how I felt. God knows how my ex felt. And he had to bring me to that position to realize that no, this is not about you. It's actually about him. And so I took it as an opportunity to use my life as a storybook for others, so that they don't make my mistakes, so that they learn from my failures, so that they learn from my life and they can do better. Let them draw strength from my strengths. Let them draw encouragement from my life. So in that topic, I had to get emotional strength to face not all but some of the pastors that were trying to give me a hard time in the hope that I would go back. So, you know, initially they would speak to me politely, but once they realized I meant what I said, that I've closed that chapter and I'm walking away, then they, you know, they resorted to other means.
It's like becoming nasty.
It becoming nasty to a point where it still carries on till today. It still carries on till today. I have videos done in my name on social media. I'm called all sorts. I'm accused of all sorts. And guess what? I took it back to Daddy God. And I said, Daddy God, all these things are happening. What do I do with it? Again, he said to me, it's not on our budget, but I want to tell you another lesson. I want to teach you another lesson. He said to me, you need this. You need this. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't need this. I don't need it. It's not fun. It's not exciting. I want to be left alone and just to have a peaceful life. But he said to me, you need this because you need to develop emotional strength.
Wow.
So this is my recipe for you to develop emotional strength.
Wow.
This is my recipe, for example, to develop forgiveness. Because if life is dandy and sweet, you don't practice forgiveness.
Oh my gosh.
It's if life is sweet and people are being kind to you, you don't develop compassion. And this is where he challenged me. This one was the most difficult lesson I had. He said to me, can you look at those people with kindness? Can you look at the people who are saying things about you that are not true, who are doing videos about you that are not true, who are calling you names? Can you look at them with an eye of kindness?
That is really difficult. That's a test. That's one real intensive test with Daddy God.
I was like, Daddy God, this one, I mean, you are God and everything. You are G. But this, I can't. I was honest with God. I said, I can't do that. because they're doing this right now, and it's painful, and it's dishonest, it's malicious. Why should I? And you know my heart, you know me. And he said to me, Patience, you need this. I am your father, and I give you things that you need.
Wow. I give you things that you need, not what you want.
Not that you're not what you want, not what feels good. And remember, thank you for that, Miss Dorcas. You said it was a difficult period. It was a difficult time. This is still in the mode of me looking for work and trying to set myself. So all this is happening at the same time.
That's a lot.
So my heart has been broken. I'm in pain. I've just left with the children. We don't know what we will eat or where we will sleep. I'm trying to find work. I'm trying to find a nanny. I'm leaving my children that are small and starting the leap to go back to work. Everything now depends on me. You know, I'm mother, father, I'm grandfather, I'm everything. And then I also have to deal with people who are being unkind to me.
And they're doing it on social media.
On social media, people are calling up each other. People are forwarding my texts. If I tell them stop, I won't have that, they'll forward that. They'll call me names. Some will call me and try and pretend to be my friend. Oh, hi, how are you? How are the kids? Just to get information and pass it on. It was a non-stop vicious cycle of nastiness, of unkindness. But God asked me, can you please look at them with kindness? And that was very difficult at the time, because their priority or focus was not the children or their well-being or trying to resolve the situation, but it was just trying to make sure that I go back at all extents.
So I just want to throw the question, if God forbid that, you know, it happens to you, but it doesn't even have to be divorce, you know, but people who are being nasty to you on social media and telling lies about you, and then, you know, Daddy God is saying that be kind to them, forgive them, love them.
Yes.
As his word says, or his love letter tells us, love your enemies.
Yes.
Can you do it? Ooh, can you do it? Let's hear you.
At the time, it was so difficult, because at that time I was really in pain. I was in pain about what had happened to me. And because my pain and my suffering